I hope you're ready for this, okay? We've got a lot to get through. So, which group is this? Ah, it's right. Well, you guys are going to answer the following question, okay? Hope you're ready. Good. So, scene setter.
Yeah.
You had 2 bits of paper. What were your impressions? What did you do because of it? What did you think? What did you plan? Would you please be quiet in the back there? Oops, sorry. Alright, your time comes. You thought nothing. Can you be quiet, please? The question is, we've had scene settings. Okay, what did you consider when you got those? What points did you consider? What was important on these? Anything? Nothing? No, only that.
Number of people there.
Okay, good. We're getting somewhere. Number of people there.
Yes.
How many people were there?
It was crowded area.
How many people were there?
Around 120 in workers, but in the weekend, 30,000.
30,000. What are they, 30,000 there at that moment?
No, more than. No, we don't know, but something. So Sunday, there's less than maybe 30,000.
But the point was, it's what people.
No.
Okay, anything else?
Temperature, maybe temperature from 20.
Sorry?
Wind, and we have wind also, windy weather.
Yeah, okay. You got it.
Long for the land.
Okay.
Yes, something important.
Consider also the, when you get the measurement of the radiation factor.
What radiation? There's no radiation.
No step. So we didn't get what radiation, it's okay. We will go another patient. Here we will find about the group, the mobile hood.
Okay. So we're already getting information. We've got a location, we've got numbers of people, we've got temperature, we've got direction of winds, we've got a potential group that we are obviously concerned about, otherwise we wouldn't have put them in there. Okay. So inject 1, you've got inject 1. What do the number of emergency calls potentially indicate? Why do a number of potential calls indicate? Why do they indicate potentially an explosion? A number of calls. Chemicals to the emergency services. What do the numbers indicate?
Numbers of injured people.
Really? Okay. Inject 1. There were what were there? There were a number of phone calls. One there, 12 further emergency calls. We've had 13 emergency calls in the space of how long? In a few minutes. What does that indicate?
Something physical.
Thank you. It's something fun. Please be quiet. Your time will come. Don't worry. Yes, it indicates potentially the size. We don't know anything else, but you already have information. That's useful. Information is power. If you have a car accident, you might have 1 call, 2 calls. Here we've got 12, 13. Something big is happening. Okay, good. Good. How will the police and fire brigade prepare for this incident? They know there's something went bang. They know there's a fire. How will the police and fire prepare?
They should contact with.
Shush! Any more? We start deducting points.
I think before they arrive, they should contact with another emergency department like CPR.
Why?
Because the amount of fusion.
Why would you contact CBRN
To make them ready for anything, maybe they will.
No. I think that's very, very unlikely that you would be contacting CBRN at this point. It's not CBRN.
Sorry, maybe the bomb.
Maybe bomb,
bomb
yeah, yeah. I think that is quite possible, yes, yeah. You might have some concerns. Okay, now, I'm just going to stick this up. Emergency phone calls so close together, potential size of incident. Well done. Exactly. That's exactly what it tells you. Lots and lots of calls, potentially could be a big incident. These are just some of the things, okay? What I would expect the planning to do in your preparation are these. You should be performing a risk analysis. Is it safe to send first responders in there? You had an explosion. You can't just assume it's safe. As you quite rightly said, you said potentially bomb squad. Absolutely. If you think there could be a bomb, you need the bomb squad there. But also don't forget secondary devices. This is something, of course, that we've seen a lot of. You get a primary device, goes off, the responders come, and then sometime afterwards, someone presses the button on the phone and lets a secondary device off to massacre the poor first responders. This is the kind of thing that happens. Risk analysis, that has to be done as you enter. Someone has to come there and say, okay, what does it look like? Is this safe? Now, I say that because if this was a building that was falling down, you could say, well, we're not going in, that's crazy. But here we have open area, it's probably okay to enter, but we have to be careful, okay? Isolate and deny entry. Now, I know the Dutch may want to consider another way of doing it, but in my experience, and certainly from the UK's point of view, anything like this, where there's a potential explosive that's gone off or something pretty big that's happened, we would isolate that area pretty fast. We want to stop people coming in and out. Okay? So these are the things that we would like you to think of. Okay? So, staying with you lot. Inject 2. Identify some of the difficulties that the situation may present when the first responders arrive. Now, you must have taken notes on this because I asked you to write all the actions down. So, what will you consider are the difficulties?
Difficulties would be, I think, with, to deal with the injured.
The injured, yeah.
And to close the area.
Okay, what else? You've got a team there, you can get the team to help you, you know.
You don't have all the picture.
You certainly don't. We only have one
The
little
pieces
bit.
of information.
That's all you get. That's what happens. That's reality. Someone's phone, in you go.
You don't have masks.
You don't. You don't. So what are the difficulties?
The Zoom, the Zoom,
The
Zoom.
no.
ABC.
Oh, yeah, but this is just an explosion. We don't have to go in. Just an explosion. So what are the problems? You've got injured, yes, what else? Imagine, try and imagine arriving there. What are you going to see?
The people there, the people.
The panic.
Crowded, panic. Yes, what else, Sandra? Yeah, what else is going to happen if you get an explosion? Could do. What else are you going to get? What's the most classic thing that happens when you set off an explosion in a busy area with buildings?
There's fire.
Possibly.
What's
What's the biggest problem that happens? And the biggest thing that causes injuries?
I don't know what it is. What's the
Well, that one, yes. But what does that cause? What does that cause? The debris? What is it? What happens with it? When something explodes, lots of bits come out, and what does it do? It's a big built-up area. You've got big office blocks. Thank you. Glass. Glass is one of the #1 killers. It causes tremendous injuries. If you go to this area, any modern area, particularly this is a big business area, all the buildings are lined with glass. And the glass goes in. Okay? So we've got fire, confusion, risk of the vehicles. Yes, absolutely. What this one there, the broken glass is there. People arriving from mass transit. What's that mean? That's the people arriving on the trains who have no idea of what they're going to see. Some of them are going to arrive on the underground, on the metro. They can't see anything. They come out from the metro and there's this mess. They don't know, but you have to deal with it. How do you deal with it?
We should not stop the train.
Stop the train.
Contact with the train operation.
Thank you. Someone's got to contact the train people. You can't do it. You can't say, so it's not going to happen. These trains run automatically. You've got to contact someone to say, look, we want you to stop trains from here to here. Okay? What about rubberneckers? Do you know what rubberneckers are? Right, let me show you some rubbernecking. This is great. I was in Milan, 2 streets away from this, and we were running an exercise.
Oh, yeah, remember that.
Yes, we were running an exercise. 2 streets away, this happened. Okay, now I want you to watch the white van, okay? So what's happening is there's a van behind you caught fire, and in it are oxygen cylinders exploding one after the other. Look at the white van. Oh, look
And
at
they
that.
thought that it was us doing the
Yes.
exercise.
And then we get these guys. Every now and again, there was a boom, explosion, as the cylinders exploded. And then we get, look, ooh, look at this. This is lovely. These are your rubberneckers, you know. They cause a lot of problems.
Like in the car accidents on the.
In the car accidents. We get, particularly in Italy, for some reason, you go down the autostrada, you go down, and then people are doing this because they want to see the crash on the other side, and then of course they crash themselves. It's incredible. Rubberneckers. Okay, this is what you've got to watch for. Okay. So, Inject 3, social media starts to kick in. What are the things they're saying on social media? Bomb blast at Cabot Square. Alarms ringing everywhere, bodies all over. Oh no, I think there's a big bang and people need help. All get down there and help. What is going to be the problems?
Misinformation.
Misinformation. And what does misinformation cause?
Panic.
Panic. What else happens because of social media in this case? It brings people to come and see it. You don't want people to come and see it. You need the first responders space. We've got to get vehicles in and out. What else? How do you fight it?
Financial news.
Now, we get what we call social media amplification. Social media amplification is what when someone takes the message on social media and just resends it, retweets or whatever they do without even thinking about it. And it becomes almost exponential. So thousands and thousands of people suddenly receiving all this information. And in many cases, as you said, it is incorrect. They don't know what's going on. Now, do you remember the Manchester Arena bombings? Ariana Grande did a concert there, and they had 2 suicide bombs that blew up by the ticket office, killing lots of people. And the social media, people were uploading pictures of the dead onto social media platforms before the families of anyone. This is the bad side of social media. Wasn't that good? We do have a good side. What's the good side? Social media.
Getting information.
You get information. Yeah, anything else?
Social media management on the
You can just, to spread our information and.
Spread out information. What else? Something very specific to this incident.
social media, management.
What can you use social media for?
We need not.
How to make it.
Yeah,
Give information, go to this point.
yeah. What you can do is you can direct people. So you can say, please do not go to here. This road has no further access. You can provide information on that. That is a useful use of social media. There's lots of bad ones, but there are good ones. We can use it as an emergency channel, road closures, evacuation. And in fact, during that same concert at the Manchester bombing, they used social media to find homes for people because the clear up took so long, people could not get home. And they stopped all the mass transport, all the public transport was stopped by the police. So people were stranded. So they found homes for them to sleep in that night by using social media. So it has a value, but there's also a bad side. Further considerations, if you have not developed within your own organisations, and I hope everybody has, but I was surprised to find last year when I ran this exercise, several people said they hadn't. If you don't have a proactive communication plan, then how do you all make one? It's all got to be done beforehand. You can't do it after, okay? And here we go. You've got to be accurate, consistent. Public safety has to be the top priority. You have to handle this ready, done. So we're on injured 4. Police are now on the scene, okay? But we have these private security staff. Now, the private security staff just happen to be based in the big building, 1 Canada Square, on this, which is in fact an island, because it's private. It's actually a private island in the middle of London. And it had its own private force, its security staff. And they were right there, so they went to help first, of course, perfectly natural. But what are the problems with these people now? You got it. They don't have training. And without that training, they can do more harm than good. It's great that they're there, but if they start to do medical, and one of the classics is they put the tourniquet on and don't tell anybody and don't identify it, etc. And we had tourniquet trauma after. There were lots of other things. So,
Doesn't work.
yeah,
Yes.
okay. Now, they're well-meaning, but as you quite rightly point out, they're not trustworthy. The last thing you want is untrained people. They're going to cause more harm than good. Plus, they get in the way. Okay? So, where would you initially locate the incident control? Where would it be? We have a major incident now. Where are you going to put it? Where's the incident?
Oh.
On the roundabout. Why there?
Things with the information.
Yeah.
And that has some resources like it. So nobody will come for, please, nobody will do on time, nobody will go on.
Why yet? Why there?
The safest.
Safety and
That's in business. I mean, outside.
Easier.
Outside.
you have access. You can get your resources in and out. Okay, so that's very good. Okay, why might this location change during the time of the wind? The biggest reason is the wind. We always have to be careful of this. So we have the wind factor on there. There may be other factors, but the wind one is the classic. And you have to look at it because there may be other problems. So let's go to number 5. We now have police on the scene. They are the real policemen. They are there. They were the first of the real first responders to get there, apart from the security staff. So what actions were these police going to do? You're now police.
best thing, both, quick, the best,
I'm saying close the, secure them.
Secure, close the area, absolutely, no question.
quote with the witness. Take some
Yes, very
information.
interesting, yeah, we want that information, well done, good one, I don't know. But that's.
Yeah, you-
But I learned, I'll remember, I'll add it. Anything else?
They can see what other department they need to respond, like, if you need, like,
Yeah, they will order the other resources, anything they get some services. Absolutely, yeah. This is good. Good. They coordinate response, you see, and that's what they do. They collate and disseminate casualty information. Yeah. Communication between the services. One that's very important, which people forget, protect and preserve the scene. Why? Why is that important?
It's to get the user.
There's investigation. You don't know at the beginning whether they will be. You don't know what motives are, reasons, but it's a good thing to do. Provide traffic management, and they may request the presence of a bomb squad or equivalent if they see.
Yeah, we call it operational feature. I don't know. It's
Operational,
feature. I mean, the,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
operational scene.
Okay.
Yeah, same way. Good. What else needs to be considered, particularly related to emergency response?
Two plan,
Two,
planning.
planning, elaborate, what? Planning what?
What will you see like,
About this, like coordinating among all the students who go to the area.
Yeah.
So that with the weekends.
Almost there.
We're nearly there.
Yeah.
You're doing well. It's not just the victims. What's the first thing you need to do? Resources and transport.
strategy and,
I think you need to bring something particular, some material,
Okay, but we've got injured, we've got hospitals.
Yeah.
something that linked the number.
Yeah, we've got an ambulance, so what do we do?
Yeah.
No, not triage. What do we need to do?
the connection.
Yeah, how do we get that? What's important about the connection from there to there?
The square that not traffic.
Thank you. We've got to coordinate the traffic. So what you would do is designate a route and shut it. Well done. What you do is you get the police and say, look, shut this road. Look, I don't care. Make sure nobody comes on here because we're going to need to get these ambulances. They're going to go backwards and forwards. Okay? Good. Good. Here we go. Suggest closure of mass transport roads, anticipate the resources, routing of needed resources. Okay? There is just one of the hospitals I've marked up on there. So you can see that there's a route going through and the expected time it would take. The problem is you need to reduce the time as much as possible to increase the survival rate of those people. To do that, particularly in London, shut the bloody roads. If not, you're never going to get through.
Can you imagine it more now?
Well done. Good. Okay. So who's next? Yeah. Good. So everybody be quiet. You'll all get your turn. Don't panic. I hope you're ready. So we're now at inject 6. So what's happened? Oh, that's happened. Basically, the fire engine has arrived. And this is Canary Wharf, by the way. They leap out and someone said on their radiation pager, whoa, I've got some radiation. Huh? So how could this information affect the response? I hope not panic. Who's the first responder?
You panic it.
It
Okay,
shouldn't be a first responder.
then we're in trouble.
Cautious. Prudence.
Cautious, prudence. What's the typical protocol if you see radiation? check for natural radiation sources. Please don't tell me you don't have this protocol.
We have to put a mark to stop the area, to sign the area.
Go to we.
Okay,
And
UK protocol, I'll give you the UK.
Breathe.
Silent protection.
Basically, if you were going forward towards that incident, your instructions will be to stop.
with the mark.
Get out.
Yeah.
Because we don't know yet, okay? That is the first warning. At the same time, we should be instructing the command that something is potentially there, okay? So, instant command, okay, okay. This is the problem. We
Yeah.
already have police on the scene, so we need to inform them of the potential. We don't know, we haven't had confirmation. How do you get confirmation? Question, how do you get confirmation of radiation in this scenario? Or in any scenario?
This is those,
How do we get confirmation? We've had one.
Come on.
One's gone bleep.
Yeah.
How do we get confirmation?
Give me another one.
Use another, yes,
Yes.
use another one.
Another one.
It sounds silly, but what if this has gone wrong and it's faulty and it's giving me a wrong reading? Oh, sorry, I can't treat you, mate, because you know, you may have radiation poisoning and this has gone wrong. No, you need it checked independently by another one. There is the need to consider PPE and monitoring. We have to start to consider these. That we've done, we need to do it by something else. You need to try it during the scene assessment. Scene assessment you've all done, particularly if you're a fireman or a policeman entering a scene. You have to scan, see what the heck's going on and decide what you're going to do, basically. This is the important one. Even if we have radiation there, even at a high level, it should not impede the possibility of saving lives. Even if you get close. Because the likelihood of you suffering from an in and an out and a grab is pretty minimal.
How can you know?
You don't.
You don't.
You have to make
Yeah.
a scene
That's the
assessment. Now, again, I'll give the UK, what they do is the incident command, the first on the scene was the police. They will take charge. The firemen turn up and say, I've got radiation, we take charge. Police stand down, firemen take over. But the police and firemen would then discuss it and say, with the incident commander, with the information they had, do you think it's safe to go in and grab these guys? Yep, we do, grab them. No, we don't, leave them. That's the decision. They have to make that decision. The incident commander must be clear. That's the way they're going to go and why. It's difficult. And it's case by case basis. But on the information you had, with this being actually quite low, even though it's much higher than the background, it's not a big deal. Get in there and do it. In terms of medical response, okay? What physical areas do you need to consider? You need to prepare different locations on your scene. What do you need to prepare? What do you need to do? Yep.
It's for us.
It's all for you. Yeah. Till I stop, it's for you.
Very close outer the green circle.
We have a green circle, do we?
Keep me
Mine.
from the crash.
Okay.
In this particular scene, where do you put this, what areas?
It's this.
The injury.
Yeah.
In the rear,
Well, where we put the ambulances. You talk about that.
yeah.
Feet down.
We have you have identified injured people.
Yeah.
It's more near possible to the end, but not that is the not to
Not too close, not too.
not to cross
What places
Yeah.
do you have to actually define, not the distance?
Where the victims are being located.
Sorry?
Make a sense point for the victims.
Victims? Yeah, absolutely.
To the wound nest.
Yeah,
And then where to put the ambulances.
yeah. You've got to start mapping all these things out. So we expect to see an area that you're going to perform triage. There's going to be a treatment area. Of course there will be, because there are people who are just walking wounded. Like, I've got a cut here. What do I do? Look, there it is. It's bleeding. Oh gosh. Just go over there. You've got to find places. You've got to designate it. But that should not be the same place that you put the dead bodies.
Yeah.
Sounds obvious. I want to hear it from you guys. Okay. Staging area. The staging area is this intermediate area between, this is where they're going to wait. They're going to go to hospital. So this guy, you've done the triage. He needs care. We can't deal with him on site. Move him out the way. The ambulance has to come and pick him up from there. So possibly you'll put the staging area down by the roundabout somewhere so they can come in and come out. Okay. But you certainly wouldn't put the mortuary, the dead people there. You'd leave them somewhere here by the square because they're dead anyway. There's no point in worrying too much. I'm sorry, but we'll deal with them afterwards. That's the mortuary. Plus the waste.
Yeah.
Also, what about the people that have just left? Because some people, bang, ooh, panic, going.
Away.
But they also may have suffered injuries or trauma. So you've got to consider that. This is idealized. Of course it is. This, if you want to find it, it's the IEA, the way they lay it out. And it's all very nice. And that's the idealized, but it doesn't work. But it shows you what you need. All this, all we have, 3 zoned, forget all that rubbish. It doesn't work. What we have is bang, that area, we've got to seal off. Outside of that, we must have some area that's protected. You see the mortuary where the dead bodies of it, they're just put there. We don't really care about them. Sorry, they're dead. We've got in and out there. And we've got a waste storage area away from people because we don't know what the waste contains at this stage. Keep it away. Whatever you do, don't leave the waste area too close. How will you deal with the media? Now, one thing, and we haven't gone through this, and I don't want to spend too much time on it. In later TTXs, you will be giving media briefs. And one of the things that gets thrown back at me is, oh, it's not my job. We have a guy who's assigned that. Sorry, it is your job. Until the official spokesperson is available to speak with all the knowledge about what has happened, if the media come to you and you are there, you need to respond. You can't say, well, I don't care, mate. Oh, I don't know, look, ask someone else, That doesn't work. That's not good. That means you need to plan and practice beforehand. Identify the spokespersons, which includes you. That's why we're going to get you trained on doing it. Identify where you're going to put the media. Provide them with the right details, okay? This is what you need to think about. Okay, we now have confirmation of radioactivity. There is radioactivity present, guaranteed. So what are you first responders going to do now?
Or the CBR and
Thank you. Declare. This is a declare. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're perfectly right. This is when you must declare it. You might have said, well, perhaps we should have done it before, but we didn't have confirmation. Now we have absolute confirmation. There is radioactivity present. Someone has gone closer to the area and they're measuring. Okay. So it's a CBR incident. Perfect. What else happens? You're declaring that incident. What else would you do?
decontamination area.
Now we have to start thinking of decon areas. Yeah. What else? Who else do we inform?
The hospitals,
Hospitals and
people near, che
maybe Italian. But
che non voluto mangiare, che sono lì vicino.
okay, so they mustn't eat or drink. Okay. But who else will you inform, particularly in Italy? Government. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So we need to consider response here. we want to make sure, advise hospitals, potentially release a statement and start to think about monitoring the people, okay? Now, we've informed CBRN, we want them on site, but they're not here yet. But we have to look after ourselves. So whoever's in charge of you, it may not be the incident commander, but you will have a chief, be it the police or the fire or whatever, will take that responsibility to make sure the staff are safe and monitored. Because you're going to have to be. It's now a radioactive incident, okay? So let's have a look. What was that number on that one? 35.9?
What number is it?
35.9.
So 36. What?
55.9 microsieverts per hour.
Okay, I'm just looking this up. Okay. I mean, anybody can go and look these things up. So the point is 35, 36 microsieverts. So it's between these two, yeah? Yes? Which means if you're very close to something, the time you can actually stay and not have a problem, you can stay all day.
7 days.
You can stay all day. Point being, by using a table like this, it's safe to work there. You need to know that. Because that's the question. Can you continue to work in this environment and for how long? The answer is you can work there all day long. So that's fine. Absolutely fine. Now we have a problem. We have these people self-presenting at the hospital. Self-presenting is when they just go there themselves, they're not taken by the ambulances. So what advice might you give the hospital? I like that.
Isolate them.
I thought you were cuddling them.
Yeah.
I thought you were there to cuddle them.
God.
They're
Yeah.
potentially contaminated.
They're potentially contaminated, absolutely. At this point now, it is potential. I love the word use, but it is, we don't know, but they are potentially contaminated. Therefore, we need to isolate them. We need to now kick in the protocols for the hospitals. Anything else?
Wash them.
Common term for that?
Decontaminate.
Decontamination, yes. We must consider these people as potentially contaminated. We don't know they are, but we must consider that. Isolation, they should be screened. And simply, if you measure the wound, if there's no signal, treat them normally. If there is, but that's an unusual thing for hospitals to do. But they do have the protocols to do it. Or at least they should have the protocols to do it.
Then at this stage, they already know that something is going on.
Something's going on, indeed. Well done. Oh, I love that. All I get is smiley faces from this group.
One leader.
Are you ready?
Yes. Always there.
Why is it important to identify the radioactive material quickly?
Everyone you can identify to know what that is out there.
Yeah.
So what has been.
That's it. What are you dealing with? Yeah.
60.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry. I mean, yeah, exactly. You need to know what you're dealing with. Why?
To know whether there is contamination or.
Okay. And
What's the consequences of the.
what are the consequences? And what will the consequences be? We have into people, yeah.
So that not put the first response in dangerous without any like protecting.
Yeah. We have to
I
be
mean,
protecting.
the one who should be responsible, he's the specialist.
Mhm.
So to know where the source come from.
Okay, what we have to do is this. I hope you've seen this one before.
Yeah.
Dim. Yeah. This is what we're asking for, because three things: treatment, protection, and decoy. Okay? If we don't know what we're dealing with, it's impossible. We can't do anything. If we know what we're dealing with, we stand a good chance. See, the questions are easy, aren't they? So on inject 11, you were given the results of a dim. Yep. So how will that impact your response?
We found out that the particle, the degrees of the source are spread around the incident,
Yeah.
so we know it got widespread.
So how does that affect your response? We've got the distance, yeah. What else?
PPE, we consider PPE for
You would consider PPE, yeah, absolutely, because we now know what we're actually dealing with. What else?
the level of PPE goes down.
Okay, what else?
Time for operation.
Time for operation, we've already done that. We said we can work those days. Rob. Okay. Several things. One, the distance. Okay, you got that. That's fine. The measurement says it didn't go any further than this, therefore, there's no point looking 200 meters away. We don't need to. Okay? They're going to be easy to find because he identified them as discrete particles. These are the particles by them. They're real. Because they're cobalt pellets, the cobalt being used in irradiation, they're not pulverized when you explode them. They just disperse, they don't break up, which means decon is very easy. You can pick them up. Yeah. Don't eat them, they're fine, you know. So that's a good. So the cleanup is good. We're not looking at cesium. The issue now is this. Because we now know we have cobalt 60 pieces, they're tiny. And we have already seen the people with the photos with the bits in them. Bad news. The question is, how bad is it?
So very bad, because the commit clear.
Very bad. Depends what you mean by very bad. But I certainly wouldn't want to keep one inside me for very long. I want to get it out. Yeah. The measurement. What was the kilobecquerels? I forgot.
It was,
Yeah,
34.
370, yeah. Microsieverts. Outside the body, not a problem. Inside the body, not a good thing to have. So you need to get them out. Okay. Hospitals are going to have fun because the hospital people are not used to dealing with radioactive material inside the body. This is something that's going to be quite difficult. In essence, it's very simple to remove. Cut, take it out. But it's radioactive. So a lot more precautions have to be taken. Okay. Now, we have seen that you've got dead people, you've got injured people, but you've also got a lot of shocked people who are sort of, they were there, they heard the blast, they saw things, maybe they saw someone die, I don't know. But the question is, as a first responder at a radiological incident, how do you deal with these people suffering from shock?
So basically, you support them and you let them know that everything is going to be fine, which is alive, but tell them that, make them calm down.
You have kids. You would be a good father if you do. I like that. I like that. If it's wrong, you're not going to like this. You don't. Secondly, you do nothing. This is not your job. Let's be clear on this. Yes, you will help someone if you can, but you're not going to sit there and do exactly what you said. No, you won't. Your job is to deal with the rest of the scene. Someone else is going to look after the situation of the mental state, the shock of these people. It's not your role as a first responder. Your time is too precious. We cannot afford you to be doing that when we've got radioactive material lying about, we've got people who are dead and dying, and we still don't know how to deal with it. You need to hand this problem over to somebody else. Okay, so you have to also consider what the consequences of this down the line are going to cause. And they need support. You're absolutely right, they need support, but not from you. And you will find whenever there's a death, that typically the police will go to inform the family that someone, their son, their father, their whatever, has died. But the family will actually react negatively if that policeman, not the same person, but the policeman dressed in the same gear, then returns to ask questions and to support them. They don't want to know because it was the policeman that came first. No, your job is first response. You hand the care of shocked people to somebody else. Someone else will deal with it. Okay? Ultimately, we have health workers, but we shall see. So, we have saving lives and injured takes precedence, okay? But how can responding to the emergency assist the forensic team? Because the forensic bits is what we like, because we can actually reconstruct information about the bomber. We can sometimes get DNA off there. So how can the first responders help? Particularly the firemen. Anybody? Put this one out to anybody.
You mean like fire?
Just help with the evidence,
B?
evidence, why we need it.
Try and leave it as it is, absolutely, yeah. That's number one. What else?
Scope the area and keep it safe for them.
Uh-huh.
So
What is the
we show
biggest-
that evidence is still there, no one touched it.
What is the biggest cause of disruption of evidence at a crime scene like this?
Destroy
People that come
the,
outside.
See?
People that will come from outside.
And how do they cause, well, it's not just them, they're not there now. Contamination. First responders. We go in, we respond. You disturb the crime scene. How and why?
We not know the reason.
Yeah, how and why does it happen?
Why, if there's fire by your.
What is the biggest problem with firemen? Their boots. They destroy everything. So we have to be very, very careful. But it's also a good source of information. So we do cover that. Okay. How can you assist the forensic team? Well, there we go. It's what you said was happening. Don't forget that deceased persons should also be examined for evidence, particularly why. This room, why? Why do we want to look at the dead? Why? How does that help forensic? What? Shoot.
of
They're
the,
dead. No, just
How can they help the forensic? They don't do
they're dead. How can they help the forensic team?
Because of that.
Yeah, cause of death, yeah.
Check if they are the,
Think, why did they die? Why did they die? They were, yeah. Why didn't everybody die?
the same, check the radioactivity.
Yeah, but why did these people die?
so we don't know
No,
who's
we
that have, who's sick, who's not sick, who have.
Don't care about that.
Suspect.
No, no.
Because they were near the street.
Thank you. They were the closest.
Yeah.
If they are the closest, what's important forensically?
Come on, don't be shy.
Will be the target.
The target.
Because, that's not forensics.
Did they just?
The source of the source that should be with them.
They came with the body, what's
They
the?
are the closest to it, therefore they're gonna have the most evidence on their bodies, be it radioactive or explosive. Therefore, they're the ones that you want to actually look at. So you don't just zip up a body bag and say, forget it. You go straight there, because they are the key ones. Someone who was 75 meters away, still within the zone of the blast fragments, who has one little bit in his arm, isn't going to tell you much. The one you want are the ones close by. Okay? So we now know what it is. And in fact, given you an actual quantity, 370 kilobecquerels of cobalt 60. So how might this information affect your response?
You distinguish the size and the look of the material, so we know even without the detector, the location of the soil.
We can find them? Yeah, good.
And, we know that the people who were hit by the debris that were sent to the hospital are under the soil.
Okay. Mhm.
So we'll have a widespread information.
Did anybody bother to do this? Nah. No one bothered. You could look it up and go, okay, with 370 kilobytes of cobalt 60, what actually is the dose? Okay, well, that's a dose, cobalt 60, 370 kilobecquerels, there we go, 0.37 megabecquerels there. What is the dose in millisieverts? Millisieverts is 113, 114 nearly, at a distance of 0.1 centimeters. So basically, what you needed to do, what I was hoping that someone would do, but no one bothered, was to say, how dangerous is this particle? Well, if you were a meter from it, it's, which we've already seen, it's safe to work there. But if we reduce the distance down to a millimeter, i.e. really so close skin contact, we're getting now a significant dose, remembering that the public are not allowed to have more than 50 millisieverts on their skin. Well, already we've doubled that. And if it's embedded at any distance, it's even worse. Okay? But the general issue is good because we can tell the public and the media that there's radiation there, but it's not an issue. You've got it deep inside you. Oh, so now the government says this is an RDD, radiological dispersal device. It's a dirty bomb. That's what it was. And they've decided to actually declare it. Not sure I would, but the government did. So you've got the three services: fire, police, ambulance. Who else needs to be informed now? Atomic Agency. Anybody else? Who? Hell, yeah. Anybody else? Government. Absolutely. This has to be elevated to a high level. This is really serious. Yeah, could be. Now, in the UK, we have what's called COBRA, which is Committee Office. Yeah, COBRA.
Crisis management.
Yeah, it's room A, that's all it is, and there's room B, and there's COBRA, and there's COBRA. So we have local government, central government, the nuclear body from the country, IAEA, and other people that could be involved. And we have to start thinking of these people. And these people come on board because of social media. You want to have bloggers, you want to have people that can use social media well. So for God's sake, don't use someone like me who's a dinosaur with these things. Get some young person who can do all the blooming whatever. I don't know what the popular thing is these days to use, but you need them to help disseminate information. In this case, good information, because even if you were there and you saw these things on the ground, your health is not at risk. Okay? You may well need, in fact, not may, you will need to prepare a media brief. As I said, we're not going to do that this time. Next time round, we will. So here is the basics you need. It's very simple. Where does the material come from? Well, it could have come from a hospital. That's where it is. We have radio material extracted and we blew it up with conventional explosives. Absolutely, that's what happened. Okay? It may not have happened in the way you were hoping it to happen, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But that's what happened. Well done. You can stand down. Oh. Oh. I'm just sort of varying coloured shirts. Speak about it. You ready? Good, let's go. So, how are you going to help the hospitals? How will you help hospitals?
The hospital population, like where the secret
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
So like there is a lady, she takes her children to the hospital and she was scared. So like the people, they come like there's an incident in home, someone come from nowhere and say.
Brilliant. Absolutely, you're right. You're going to geographically do a triage. You're going to say, where were you during the incident? Whatever it is, then it's not a problem, is it? Yeah, what else?
As he said, it's guidance. So there is a lot of routes, like police is the more focused on it, so they can open the route for only the ambulance to go and come.
Yeah, but we're looking at worried well. These people just turn up in the hospital. We're not bringing the ambulances in. This is just people who just turn up and say, I'm injured. I was there.
I think it's scary on something.
Yeah. What is the problem with the worried well? With these people? What's the fundamental problem? Mess, yeah, but there's still a bigger problem than mess. In the hospital, what's the biggest problem with these people turning up?
They don't have many rooms.
Like if the hospital can takes 1,000 injured and only one is coming, they cannot help.
Thank you. You will fill the hospital with all these people and you get something called an invert triage. These people are not the people the hospital needs to deal with. The hospital needs to deal with the people that are coming on the ambulances, but they're going to take a while to get there. The worried well are just blocking up the hospital. So we need to actually separate them out. Now you've got to deal with them, and you can't just ignore them. Because if you ignore them, and one of them dies or suffers from it, then it's going to come back to you. So you've got to be able to plan for it. So, okay, look, you weren't there. The best thing you can do is go to this other hospital. I'll tell you where to go to. They're dealing with your type of thing. We deal with something else. Get them out of the way. Move them off. Okay? So direct them to another location. Okay? The media is often blamed for causing this. And in fact, I'll show you a disaster. This was contaminated areas will not be inhabitable for over 100 years. You can smell the danger. Okay. This was following Livinenko's murder. He was killed, if you remember, in London with polonium-210 was put in his tea and he drank it and died of alpha poisoning. The government decided that the best thing they could do was inform the public. So what they did was they informed the public and said, okay, if you have any worries at all that you may be exposed, call the NHS hotline. The NHS is our National Health Service. So you call this number. They gave a number. So what happened? you think happened?
How many calls did they receive?
So many people.
They got over 10,000 phone
10,000.
calls. It was useless, absolutely pointless. Doesn't work. Seems a nice idea. Oh, we set you up a hotline, and it's politically very nice to say we're looking after you because there's a phone number you can ring. It doesn't actually do anything. And in fact, it's worse than that. It's a waste of time. Absolute waste of time. So, we're nearly there. We're nearly there. What should the first responders do before going home? Decontamination. Well done.
You can get there.
Okay, we decontaminate. What else?
I think report
Oh, yeah, that comes later.
sometimes before coming.
Sometimes, yeah, before going home. Yeah.
Make sure someone be changing.
Yeah, keep going.
When he go home, someone will stay.
Ah, okay, yeah, we're replacing it. Yeah, could be.
So we're making sure about, when we was talking before, like in for if they're keen about the evidence and something. So not letting the area like empty, no one.
Yeah, you're almost on it. We need to take these.
Yes.
This is evidence. Bag it up. This is forensic evidence. So you don't decon it.
So you will take like the whole, everyone was there. The shoes.
No,
All the first responders that were in that area will have their boots bagged up because they will have potentially residuals on it. They may even have actual particles, we don't know, because the particles are very small, only a few milliliters, but they will have forensic evidence. They need to be bagged up. But you're right, decontaminate. And if you look very carefully on your there, you will actually see a fireman measuring with the radiation detector his boot there. This is part of the protocol. We would expect that to happen. So we're going to change tack a little bit. Okay, we've dealt with this area. We've identified our suspect. He lives in this place in the East End. Yeah, we've got it. You've got information. He's living in this building there. There's the white van. The picture was taken the day before the explosion. So what should the police, how will they prepare before searching the premises?
Think about him. Like, I can search about, he has money, he don't have.
Yeah, I'm interested in the premises. I'm going to search. What am I going to do? How do I prepare?
just before he did it.
Premises.
Where he lives, the house. But before you go into the house, what do you do?
I have to get paper like from the government.
Yeah, you need a warrant, you need legal, yes, you're right.
It says in some area, like, what's his house?
Where he want.
What you divide.
See where it works, I'm interested now in this is the house we're going to go into.
All the building is empty. Will be empty.
How do you do that? Evacuate. You can evacuate, what else are you going to do? Why?
The.
I would think,
The miss of the building.
Detectives? Yeah, could do. What else are you going to do? Who are you going to bring down?
Also 360, 360. They like to go around all the house.
Absolutely, but who's going to enter there? Thank you. We need to have bomb present, yeah, because this is potentially the guy that did it.
they're people.
So we must consider the location as the site for the homemade explosive, okay, and of handling radioactivity. So we'll expect a bomb squad to go in. I would also expect military grade jammers to be used. Why? You know what a jammer is? The jammer is the one that blocks the telephone.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
For the phone. have
I'm not spying.
on
No,
the
nothing to do with spying for the bomb.
on the point.
Yeah.
Maybe bomb.
So we will jam any signal coming on there. We need specialist radiological support. We've got to evacuate, close roads. As you said, gather intelligence about it. Well, yeah, absolutely. You've got to do that. You've got to do all that. And what I would expect,
You know, because like the people there are like financial crowds, someone like they can say to them, hey, we give you money, do that, do that, do that.
indeed, we've got a lot more work to do.
That's, but I think that's fine, I'm scared.
That's a little bit later. Yeah. And I would expect also a radiological sweep around the property before we start, just in case. Let's just see what we're dealing with. Again, you're coming to 360. So, what was being prepared in the kitchen?
So they found like the equipment to do a bomb,
What bomb? What explosive were they producing?
prestige, hydrogen.
Yeah, what explosive? What explosive?
You make the bomb.
What explosive? Anybody? DHEP. Thanks. DHEP. DHEP. This is the bomber's favourite. It's very, very easy to make. You need acetone, which is easy to get hold of. You need hydrogen peroxide, which if you go to hairdressers, which I don't go to hairdressers very often, you can get that. And you need a nice acid. We can get nice acids from the toilets and brain cleaners. If you increase the percentage of hydrogen peroxide by boiling it off, mix these two together and cool it, it will crystallize and it will produce these crystals. Mother of Satan, TATP. Evil stuff. There it is. This is real, by the way. These are real images from bombers' locations. You can see it settling out there. And it's a very easy thing to make. Very, very easy indeed. The London bombings on the buses, 7th of July, used TATP. They used chickpea flour. They called it the naan bread bomb or something afterwards because it was yellow. Whatever. Okay, so we then go to the living room. Here it is. So what was happening here?
They were
We are
Mixing.
preparing,
no, not mixing.
preparing
Preparing what?
for the bomb.
Yeah.
And like for the Cobalt 60, like the date, it is 1969.
Yeah.
So it is old.
It's very old, yeah. So these are real images, by the way, of a bomber's location. And you can see that apart from the mess, they're always very messy. They're never really neat people, these bombers. First thing they do is a cell phone detonator. The Nokia is one of their favourites, by the way. They don't like iPhones, they like Nokias. Why do they like Nokias?
Battery.
Long life battery. Long life battery and?
Receiving processing.
Yeah, something else. It doesn't make us often to buy iPhone. Yeah, you're probably right. It's the vibrator on it. It's very strong. And it's the vibration that actually gives the thing. Doesn't matter. You can use anything, but they're the bomber's favourites. And yeah, it's very old material. Indeed. Yeah, antique material. Going back to, okay, well done, you have finished. The material was very old. We normally say, you're absolutely right, 10 half-lives and it's dead, it's gone. Cobalt 60, is it 5.5 year half-life, is it?
Every 5 years.
Every
5 years.
5 point something. Isn't it? 5 point something? Anyway, it's a very low concentration of actual cobalt 60 present there. You saw, hopefully, on the tables I showed you, that it's easy if you have a measurement to say how long can you stay there as a first responder. And it showed you could stay there all day and it would not do you any harm. So that's good. The problem is, if it gets inside, then it's giving you a significant dose. So you've got to get them out relatively quickly, but it's not going to kill anybody. The people that died from the explosion, which is the most common problem with a dirty bomb scenario. It's not the radiation that's going to kill you, it's the explosive that's going to kill you. It was the people that just happened to be around. Can anybody work out what my brain was thinking of the actual scenario and how it was supposed to work? Did anybody work that one out? Quite difficult. No one dare even look. All right. There was a bicycle. What was the bicycle? Why do we have a bicycle? Yeah.
I was actually thinking for the bicycle of my team that it was part of the bicycle.
Correct. It was.
He told you to.
Now, how was the bicycle part of the bomb? What was the modus operandi? The battery. No. Okay, let's go back one step. What went wrong?
The accident.
The accident. The accident wasn't supposed to happen. The other van went into the back of it and caused it to explode. Had it not been an accident, we've got a bicycle. What was on the bicycle? No, not the seat. What was on the bicycle?
Electricity.
Yeah. What was it? What was it packaged in? Yeah, what was it packaged in? You got pictures of it? What was the bomb packaged in?
Ah, yeah, it was a rider. The box.
Thank you. He was one of these food delivery guys.
Yes.
And if you look, you found out that that was his job. Okay. And if you look also at one of the later images that you have, you can see the box of a secondary device there.
Pizza.
Yeah. It's there. It's there. A commentary is there somewhere. You've lost it already. You've lost it already. It will be in the searching of the rooms. It will be there somewhere. There'll be a bomb. There'll be a. There it is. There it is. It's this one. Inject 19. If you look at Inject 19, you'll find one of these food delivery bags.
Yeah.
He's a food delivery rider. So basically, he's got the radioactive material in the little lead container, and he's got the explosives around it. The fact that the search found this, what does it mean?
The idea to
No,
deliver the bomb.
no, he'd already blown up by then. What does this mean? Thank you. It was the second one. This was another one. So this is still live, or potentially live, okay? Because we don't find this we wouldn't expect to find this at the bomber's residence unless he was getting ready to use it again. So he didn't get away with it. The idea was he would just put the bicycle somewhere. I have seen these, you see them in London all the time. They just tie their bike up with a lock and they leave it and they go and get the pizza at the pizza restaurant and they come back, put them in the back. No one cares about the fact there's a big box on the back. No one ever worries about that. But it's a good way of, if you want to bomb someone, that's a good place to put it. Okay, number one, well done for surviving.
Come on, somebody go block mine.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
Usually,
Yeah, it normally goes on a lot longer. I cut it in half today because I thought I'd be gentle with you and it's your first time. Next time, I won't be so kind and you will be spending all day doing this. Okay, there'll be a lot more to do and a lot more to think about it. But you need to think not just with what you're doing there, but you also need to sort of open your eyes a little bit and think about outside of that. Think outside the box. Oh, I better think about the hospital. Oh, I better think about shutting the road so the ambulances can get backwards and forwards and the resources can get there. Are there any more questions? I know nobody wants to give questions because that means you can get off early. Okay. In which case, thank you once again. Can you, please, I need to, as always, if you ever get to Canary Wharf, there it is. This is what Canary Wharf looks like underground. We don't normally see the stormtroopers, but
First responders.
yeah, they're the first responders, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That must have been a sight seeing that one on there. But I would also, as always, like to thank, and she runs out the room, the facilitators, but particularly all of you, because without you actually participating, it doesn't work. Okay. Could you please package up all the little icons
All the icons
and
and all
put
the.
them back in the plastic bags and all the injects and everything else? We want everything back up here, please.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you scribble on it. We just want it back up. Okay? It's an illegal to go.
Ora puoi fermare la registrazione. Va bene. Quello?